Okay, so thank you so much for your time. we genuinely are hearing movement in the house.
I'm so excited to have Brooke back on the couch with me, sharing a camera lens.
It's so good to be back on the Brooke and Candy Show set, and we are very excited for today's video because
Oh wait, I think my delivery came.
Oh.
Should I go answer it?
You have to.
Yeah.
Okay, so getting a delivery isn't exactly the spooky that we have lined up, but that was an interesting
That was a bit of a jump scare for you guys.
Okay, so the Halloween special, what are we doing tonight?
So we're going to be having a bit of a story time, telling you all of the spooky experiences that we've had. Then we're going to talk about our top picks for movies that you should watch this Halloween. And finally, we're going to try and conjure some spirits.
So we have my Ouija board and I have some other interesting items for the conjuring of a demon or a spirit, not to discriminate. And I have some other items that are quite interesting that I thought would help us connect with the other side, including one item that is potentially haunted. For real, for realsies. But you're gonna have to stick around and watch the whole video to find out what that item is.
So this week's product of the week is the Ouija board. Our Ouija board belongs to Brooke.
It's a reproduction of the original Ouija board that was brought out in the 70s or the 70s.
I think it was 1972.
So the box looks identical to the original release, which is really, really cool.
All right, get your trick or treat baskets ready because we're going to be serving up some spooky content.
Alright guys, so welcome to Paranormal Storytime with Brooke and Candy.
So a few years ago, I had the pleasure of going to Arrowdale Asylum in Ararat with Brooke and our dad, and it was such an interesting night. But one of the more interesting parts of it was when my dad and I were each locked into a lobotomy room. So we were there and the guy was like, all right, I'm gonna pick 2 people. You're gonna go into the waiting room. This is where the patients would wait before they were gonna be lobotomized.
Just for context, we're standing there at like 11 p.m. at night. The only thing is like a few torches. Like if people have been on ghost tours, they'll know that it's pitch black, a few torches, and you know, they make you turn your torches on and off throughout the tour to give it that extra scary effect. So yeah, it was just like, we're just all standing there in this really big empty room and there's 2 cells at the back of the room. Candy gets put in one cell, Dad gets put in the other cell.
So the idea is that there's actually a little like peephole, so you can actually stand there and let's pretend you were a patient, you're watching the patient before you getting operated on. Okay, so I was just kind of standing there. I decided to like go back into the darkness and just like feel like, was there anyone there? It did feel really, really cold. And I guess it was interesting because in spite of that, I didn't actually feel scared. I felt kind of content, especially to like retreat into the darkness.
Now, I don't know what this means because it's obviously conflicting, but that room, we did get told that Australia's psychic who works with the police said that in the room Candy, the cell Candy was in, right in the corner, there is a really dark entity, and that entity is upset.
And I was walking into that entity.
Actually, I really like ghost hunting. Like, I will own that as my thing. My claim to fame, I'm a published ghost hunter. When I was 17, it was in Girlfriend magazine. I got a whole page spread. I would never lock myself into a room like that. And it was funny because Dad was in the cell next to her.
And he was on his phone.
He was playing games on his phone. Like, that man is unfazed by this stuff. This room actually, funnily enough, I didn't go into the cells, but I went to Ararat Asylum previously, I think the year before. And in this room, I had a very interesting experience. We were all standing in a really large circle in the room and it was dark. And I started to feel a very weird sort of feeling on the side of my stomach. And I mean, this was a few years ago. This was literally like 6 years ago. I'm pretty sure it was the left side of my stomach. And I didn't say anything about it. I was just standing there and I'm like, oh, okay, this is odd. So the tour guide is telling us all the stories, blah, blah, blah. Time passes, and as we leave the room, the tour guide, I'm not kidding, he turns around and he says that usually people in this room feel nauseous, and they also usually feel a sensation, and he pointed to that side of his stomach. That was really crazy, and obviously that's like a personal experience because, you know, it's not a photo or a video, but I just feel like, what is the explanation for that? Because it makes sense if I had found that out beforehand, you mentally can conjure it, but that doesn't make sense, and that stayed with me because I was like, damn.
Yeah. And I feel like, because I was at Arrowdale, yeah. Okay, so it's interesting because obviously I wasn't there with Brooke on that trip, but then on the trip that we were on, I remember when we went into like that big courtyard, I actually felt really emotional, like I wanted to start crying. And that was really strange because why would that be the case? And apparently that can happen when there are spirits around that. Yes. It like plays with your emotions. Yes. Like I felt the strongest urge, I'm not kidding, to start bawling my eyes out.
You know, something a lot of people say is oh, you're expecting it. Well, I've also done other ghost tours like Beechworth Asylum and Melbourne Jail, and I actually don't feel anything there. But Ararat Asylum, I feel like there is such a heavy presence of paranormal. I just think it's very interesting that, you know, you could do ghost tours at like Beechworth Asylum. You don't feel anything, you don't see anything, you don't think much, but there are very certain specific areas where you do think and feel things, and then you find out that interesting things have happened there. So, you know, Ararat Asylum is where I took this photo, which I'll put up on the screen. And when I took the photo, I didn't even know that I had captured the man in the window. And it wasn't until the next day when my mum was like, wait a second, what is that? And I realized I took that photo in the very first room that you get taken into at Ararat Asylum, and that is the superintendent's office, and he actually committed suicide in that corner of the room. That is what we were told. And I put the dots together and I'm like, oh my gosh, that is crazy. And I actually went back and I took a photo the exact same way with my iPhone, and there was no man in the window. So I just think that if you are looking for paranormal activity, go to Ararat Asylum.
So for Brooke's 21st birthday, we decided to do a ghost tour at Pentridge Prison. And that was so interesting. And I volunteered to go into the cell of a really notorious criminal. And so everyone kind of walked away, I think.
Oh yeah.
While I was locked in there by myself. And yeah, I remember that it felt really, really icy cold, but there was no window, there was no ventilation in the wall. And I noticed that it was just in a certain part of the room that it was really, really cold. So that was interesting.
It was just crazy because he put her in there, closed the door, and then we all walked away, and I was like, is Candy okay? Like, this criminal was really, really bad.
And I think like he hadn't told us what he had done until they walked away, so I had no idea.
But Pentridge was another place where when we went up the top, there was a certain area, because they have, you know, like, if you've seen old prisons, they have the stairs, and then they've got you have the stairwell, but then you have the walkway that goes around the top half. And there was a section of that near where the prison officer's box is, and my camera wouldn't work, and Candy's phone turned off. Like, remember? Yeah. It actually turned off, but it was just that specific part. And I just thought that's so crazy because we tested it around that area, and it was just very specific where things stopped working. And I was like, okay, time to go back down now.
And there seems to be like a thing that happens, like if we think about Werribee Mansion, you and Mum went and the cameras weren't working properly, everything was like fuzzing over, which, you know, in every other setting that wouldn't happen.
Our final ghost story that I think deserves an honorable mention is that we were living in this house. It was a double-story house, and the owners of it that lived there their whole lives died. And I really didn't want to move in there because I knew that, and I just thought the house was so creepy and it had a very ugly feel to it. And there was a room upstairs that we never used. It was just like a spare, very strange room actually, because it wasn't big enough to be a study, but it wasn't a cupboard.
Yeah.
And the door would never close. The door continuously would just open on its own. And then we have another place that we lived in. We loved this house, but again, just very spooky things that happened in it, and Candy will tell you.
So I lived in like a loft situation, so I was upstairs. I remember lying on my back once and looking up at the ceiling, and I was like, it looks like it's in the shape of a coffin.
It was shaped like a coffin.
So then there was that.
So the stairs leading up to the loft, at the bottom there was a baby barrier.
Yeah, and didn't it come off at some point?
It flew off, like, it literally flew off because Candy was moving out of the loft into a room downstairs. So we just thought that whatever was upstairs with Candy was clearly not happy about her leaving the room.
I remember there was that one night where I could hear very, very strong, deep breathing, literally like it was in my ear.
That's crazy.
And I remember going downstairs and Mum said she could hear it as well, in her ear.
That's crazy. And the weirdest thing is that, like, I always would, you know, I was like, what, 12?
Yeah.
I slept on the other side of the house, and I used to literally, I don't even know the rationale for the logic for this. I was so scared in this house, I didn't like it some nights, and I would actually like get my pillow, get my blanket, and walk through the dark, empty, like the dark house to get to Candy's room, and then like be like, can I sleep with you? But I love how I actually would walk through the dark house.
I guess, yeah, when you weigh up your options, it's like better be with someone when they come for you.
Alright, so that is it for our paranormal stories. If you have any paranormal stories, we would love to hear them down below. Yes.
And we're going to talk about some of our top Halloween film picks.
Give some honorable mentions to the best films. Now, I feel like Tim Burton is obviously a must. We all know that.
Yeah, so Night Before Christmas, 100%.
Corpse Bride, I was like,
A bit of Sweeney Todd.
Sweeney Todd. I actually think, I keep getting the titles confused, but Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah, well,
That's a good, I reckon that's a good watch for Halloween.
Yeah, 100%. Even though it's more colourful than his other films, it's still really dark.
It's dark.
Yeah. Although, you know, we could argue that really the first one is very dark.
I'm not into the first one that much.
Oh, okay.
Everyone's like, I'm not subscribing, because that's like an unpopular opinion to have.
Yeah.
Look, guys, I was a kid, that whole song of like, cheer up Charlie, it just drained the life out of me. I just had I need to watch it again as an adult, basically. That's all I'm trying to say. So I think that obviously Alfred Hitchcock, what movie wouldn't you watch? Except for some of his later ones, because they're not as good.
But this is my little Hitchcock box set, and here's one of the DVDs or Blu-rays. I think Psycho is definitely the film you want to watch on Halloween, and I honestly think Psycho is a perfect movie. Like,
oh, it is.
Pacing-wise, it's so good.
We were gonna watch Creep 1 and 2 Halloween night, but I'm actually sitting here like, maybe we should do Psycho.
It's so funny because I actually watched Psycho like 2 weeks ago because I was showing my friend for the first time, but I'm always down to rewatch that one because I love it so much. And
I think another good mention that's not Alfred Hitchcock, but I don't want to forget it, is Whatever Happened to Baby Jane.
Yeah.
And what's that Joan Crawford film with the axe? Is it Straight Jacket?
Yeah, I think it is.
Straight Jacket with Joan Crawford is amazing. That is so scary. Okay, if you're looking for like laughs, but you want it to still technically be a spooky film, watch the original Poltergeist. Candy hasn't seen it. I cracked up so much. Like, me and Mum watched it and we just kept laughing. I mean, I'm not a Steven Spielberg fan, but that movie is hilarious.
What else have we got? So we've got, I mean, Vincent Price films always. So, a few years in a row now, I've been watching The House of Wax on Halloween.
This is really good, and it kind of is sad. I think it's underrated.
Yeah, and I think unfortunately like the new one kind of is what people think of, but no, this is the proper one.
Watch the original one.
And it's a different story, I'm pretty sure.
And the House on the Haunted Hill, is that the name of it?
The one with Vincent Price in it? Yeah, House on the Haunted Hill.
That's a really good film. Like, I haven't watched that. I actually haven't watched that in a long time, but it always has stood out to me.
Yeah.
Other ones is, we are massive James Wan fans, like, massive. The Insidious series, the Conjuring series, Annabelle series, The Nun, love them. We're actually going to be watching The Conjuring the 3 days after Halloween with the family, so.
I thought we were watching it this Monday coming.
Oh, no, we've pushed it. I have a test and I actually want to sleep.
Okay.
Like, I will admit that I watch these films and then I'm in bed and I'm like, but what if they are in my room?
Oh, we loved The Visit.
That was a horrible film. Okay, I don't know.
Entire film of watching kids hanging out with their grandparents.
That was a horrible film.
And then in the last 20 minutes, suddenly things go wrong.
The Others. That is a film you
yeah.
must watch. The Others.
What are some other scary films? Because we really got into horror films and thriller films.
Look, I actually did enjoy the first Freddy Krueger film, and
Yeah.
I did enjoy the very first Friday the 13th.
Well, I'm still scarred by Friday the 13th personally. I
Really?
think there was a scene in that I was like, oh, I didn't want to see that.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I think to me there was a line where I'm like, this does look fake.
Okay.
And I think compared to modern horror films, I'm like, this looks fake. But I was thinking of another horror film and
Well, I mean, is this a horror?
I know it. Woman in Black is such a
yeah.
good film. That movie is excessively underrated. Daniel Radcliffe did a terrific job. I haven't even seen him in anything else other than Harry Potter and that. But this film, I'm shocked by how many people say, oh, I haven't seen it. Oh, I haven't heard of it.
And it's so good because it is that classic horror. It's that
Yes.
classic paranormal horror.
Yes.
Really, really good.
So good. And that one with the English teacher or the teacher.
Oh yeah, I think it's called The Reckoning or something.
The Awakening.
Oh, The Awakening, yeah, where she like wants to disprove that there's paranormal activity going on at the boarding school.
So good.
But,
What were you gonna say?
Oh, what was I gonna say?
While we went.
Winchester. Winchester's a good film.
I actually have that.
I feel like that's along the lines of Woman in Black, I feel,
Yes.
in terms of like more classic.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm obsessed. If you do not know the Winchester Mystery House, Google it, read about it. See if you can find actually the Ghost Adventures episode, because they did a really good episode on it. I think. Alright, for the grand finale of the Halloween festivities, we have in front of us a Ouija board and some varying items which I do want to run through.
Alright.
Okay, so I have here the Necronomicon.
Necronomicon.
I have here the Necronomicon. Is it real? Is it fake? Only demons know.
Is that a H.P. Lovecraft thing?
It is.
Yeah.
They said H.P. Lovecraft denied the book's existence, but the dreaded Necronomicon has finally surfaced.
Ooh. Next we have the Satanic Bible.
Everyone's like, why do you have that? Never mind. I also have this actually, and I think this is so cool. It's made in India. And I got this from a market and I like it.
That's scary in itself. Oh my god.
Yeah.
She found it some part in Victoria. She can't even remember where she got it.
I can't.
Because they possessed her and wiped her memory.
And this is really cool. This is a genuine Bible that belonged to a prisoner in in the 40s.
Oh!
So on the front it says a little prayer book. The person's actually got the pencil marks in, and it says the 30th of the 4th, 1940. And we don't know his name. We don't know who owned it, but it was a prisoner. What?
That's really scary actually.
Yeah. It's like he sat in prison, right? And he held on to this and he took notes in it. And there's a page in here where they took like numbers. They wrote numbers down as if they were betting. Oh, Percy James.
What?
Percy James.
Oh my god, that's like, okay.
James is in our name.
Yeah.
And the date on the back is 44. So this person potentially owned this for 4 years straight whilst they were in prison.
I think what would be really cool is if we learned all these hymns and like...
Yeah.
Let's do a video about that, learning the hymns in the prayer book.
This thing's really weird. There was a page.
In the beginning?
No, there was literally a page where numbers were written down. I can't find it. And I would like to think that Percy James feels free now because the Bible is out of the prison. Anyway.
Could be like he put his soul into it. Imagine putting
Maybe.
his soul into it.
Well, he's written in it. And it's a prayer book. Like, it is literally...
That's actually a really cool theory. Like,
Yeah.
imagine if everything that you write onto, like, as long as it remains on this earth, like, retains a part of you. Oh!
Now, when I got that book, I actually, like, we put it in a cupboard. Because it is true, like, you don't know what's attached to it. I don't know who this person was. I don't know what his crimes were, but you just put it in a cupboard and you pretend it's not there. This is actually the first time I've touched it in years. So I took it out today for the video and I was like, I have not touched this in probably, like, 5 years.
Did you feel like a gust of wind when you took it out of the cupboard?
No. But I did feel like I have to wash my hands. Are we gonna do this?
We're gonna do it. We're gonna do a witchy.
There are instructions. I should have bought. I've got it. Candy got me for Christmas a ghost hunting guide by Zach Bacon. Shout out Zach. One day I will go to your museum, but I don't have it. But it's got in it the proper thing that you're supposed to say when you start and when you close. But I think I'll just do a rough memory of it, because is it really gonna matter? Okay, so you have to put your hand on the thing. Any spirits that are around, we respectfully ask for your communication. If you do not feel like communicating with us, then please don't. We are just very honored to be in your presence, and Candy will have questions while you're in her house, but let's go.
Alright. Am I supposed to ask a question and then I move the answer, or do I just see what they say?
No, you don't move the thing at all.
Why do we just like...
No, you broke the circle! Oh! Once you put it down, you can't break it, so we'll do it again.
Okay.
Any spirits that are around, we voluntarily invite you to come talk to us, but you do not have to if you do not wish to, because we are not here to terrorize you. Don't break the circle. Candy has a question.
Hi there, I just want to know, I just want to know if you think that we should watch Creep on Halloween. They're probably not going to enjoy, they're not going to like the fact that we're asking them trivial questions. What do we want to do? Like,
I'll also say that I realistically don't think that any ghost is going to talk to us it's still daylight outside, it's the middle of the day.
But it could be nighttime where they are.
And I don't think they're going to be on camera and perform, because they're not show ponies. But we'll ask them a serious question, because I also really doubt that you have any spirits in here.
Yeah, and I mean, it's probably good to know.
Yeah, I really don't think you have any in here. I was gonna say I've been dying, no pun intended, to take this Ouija board to a graveyard. I really want to do that, and there is a hotel near Beechworth Asylum. Shout out to them. That is actually the grounds. It was an old hospital building, and they've refurbished it. So I really want to stay there and take the Ouija board and have a go. Are there any spirits here?
I just heard a noise.
We actually did. It was from the... Do you want to talk to us?
Do you feel like maybe you could make a noise? Just to tell us if you're around. You don't have to talk to us. Just make a noise.
Is Percy James here?
I don't know why I feel like I heard movement.
Percy, are you here? I have your prayer book. I know it's been years, but I just want you to know that I have it and I respect it.
No. We just heard something.
Okay, so thank you so much for your time. we genuinely are hearing movement in the house, and that's very strange. It could be your cat though.
Oh, he doesn't make noise at the best of times. I'm pretty sure he's on the kitchen table.
Okay, well, thanks. Nice to talk to you. Now, we will be closing the portal and we will be saying goodbye, because we do not want to disturb and interfere with the spiritual realm. So we hope that you are respectfully resting, and thank you for taking this time to listen to us. So now we have to spell out goodbye.
Okay.
G-O-O-D-B Y-E. I hope you didn't scratch my board. No, she didn't. She was like, you were in a bit of a rush there to close that portal, but we genuinely heard some movements, which I thought was interesting. We did hear some movements, especially when I referenced a specific name, and it was just like, I don't know if the camera will pick up on it, but the sounds were actually coming like from the floor.
Yeah, almost like creaking.
Yeah. Which,
I mean, the floors don't creak.
I really didn't expect anything. Good luck. Alright. Alright guys, that was actually interesting, and now some reconsidering is gonna have to happen over whether or not there is a spirit in this house.
Gonna have to get some sage brushes and like clean out all the bad juju.
And I think Italians, we're Italian, they throw like salt over their shoulder or something for like good luck. So just swim in salt, swim in salt.
I hate salt.
Really?
Yeah, you know I'm a sugar person.
They're both good.
Yeah.
Imagine mixing them together. That is our Halloween secret treat. Salt and sugar mixed together, and you just chuck it behind you. You swim in it, and that's how you undo all the really foolish, irresponsible things you've done on Halloween, like try to conjure spirits and demons.
Alright, we hope you enjoyed this week's episode of the Brooke and Candy Show. Make sure to hit the subscribe and like buttons, and hey, turn that bell on so that it goes off whenever a new video comes out.
Do we have a bell?
I thought it was automatic.
If we don't have a bell, if you see that we don't have a bell,
Just knock.
make sure you tell all your friends to subscribe so that we do get a bell if we don't have one. And that is it. We hope you enjoyed the Halloween special of the Brooke and Candy Show. Now go and watch one of the scary films that we recommended, or we'll be outside your door knocking to find out why you didn't.
We will see you next week, guys, for a more tame episode of the Brooke and Candy Show.
One that doesn't involve demons. Bye.
Bye.